Let's discuss about the last concept of the hydrogen chapter, that is called water. So water means H2O. So you know this one. So in the form of all the living creatures and human beings, animals, plants, all they require the water. So water is very much essential to live on this earth, right? So you know this one, water is covering the 3/4 of in the form of the oceans, snow, like this, right? You can see the source of the water, how they are going to be distributed, how the water is going to be distributed for the different purposes, right? We are going to see here source of the water. And you know this one, so the one can live without food for a number of days, but one cannot live without the water. So after the oxygen, so what are the fundamentals, the requirement of the human, that is called, first is what, oxygen, right? So second comes to the water only. So first oxygen, second water, next is our the meals what we are going to eat, right? So this is all very important here to study about this one. Some of the concept we are going to involve here. So because of the all the properties of the water, the scientist has given the one word, that is called water is an universal solvent. We are going to call it as a universal solvent. So all the creatures, so the must require is, that is called the water. So let's discuss about the what are the physical properties of the water here. First one, let us discuss about the water. So you know this one, water is called liquid always. So it has a freezing point as well as the boiling point also. The freezing point will be 273.2 Kelvin. So that is nothing but the 0 degree Celsius. 0 degree Celsius, right? So they are in the temperature form, right? In the degree Celsius, that is 0 degree Celsius. If in terms of the temperature, that is called, just we are going to add in the 273.2, right? So that becomes the 273.2 Kelvin. What about the boiling point? You know this one, boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. Or also you can use this one, plus 273 you should add here, that becomes the 373.2 Kelvin. So this is a freezing point, this is a boiling point. And the freezing point, boiling point, and enthalpy of the evaporation of the water is always higher as compared to the hydrates of the other members. You know, just to take this one, water, right? So this oxygen comes under the group number 16, right? So in the group 16 elements, oxygen will be there, sulfur will be there, and selenium will be there. So also that is the form of the hydrate formation only. So water, H2S, H2SC. So right. So when compared to the, they are telling that the, so water is having the high boiling point, freezing point as compared to the hydrates of all other elements. Or you are going to take its own family. Why it is higher? Because of the one strong reason we are going to call as, that is called hydrogen bonding. So in the water, hydrogen bonding is possible, whereas in comparing to this compound H2S and H2C, there is no presence of the hydrogen bond. Why? Because you know this one. So always for the formation of the hydrogen bond, hydrogen must be there, and along with one electronegative element also must be present. That is called oxygen is the most more electronegative will be there. So oxygen, nitrogen, then only the hydrogen bond formation will takes place. So that's why water is having the high boiling point, high freezing point. So compared to the hydrates of other members. And the third one, the water has a high dipole moment, that is mu is equal to 1.8 d. D means dipole. So the dipole moment is always measured in terms of the dipole. So which is having the high dipole moment. Why? Because water is having high dipole moment because of its net charge, net dipole, that you should write here. Oxygen, hydrogen, right? We are going to write like this. Due to the presence of the lone pairs of electrons here, so that I am going to write the mark here like this, arrow mark, that we have studied in the dipole moment, right? So how to find out this one? So that is called arrow mark should be upper side, and due to the electronegativity parameter of this hydrogen and oxygen will have the higher electronegativity. That's why this bond pair moves towards this oxygen, and this is also same, moves towards the, like this, towards the oxygen. So that's why this arrow mark, when you look at the arrow mark, all the arrow mark in the same direction, that is in the same direction. That's why it should be having the dipole moment, that should be value as higher one, that is called 1.8 divide. Let's discuss about the structure of the water. So we have seen already in the chemical bonding, right? So once again, let's discuss about the structure of the water. So which one is the central atom here? That is oxygen is a central metal atom here. That That is, now I am going to take this electronic configuration oxygen. So containing the atomic number should be 8 here. So 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. I am going to neglecting this 1s2 because it is completely filled shells. So only the matter of the 2s2 and 2p4. So how many lone pairs? And so these are called non-bonding electrons. So these are called it makes the bonding pairs of the electrons. So this is about the structure of the atom. Let's start with the oxygen. So here, so these are containing the paired electrons, and this is for the unpaired electrons. Therefore, the unpaired electrons from the oxygen atom, which is going to overlap with the 1s orbital of the hydrogen atom, because hydrogen is always 1s1, right? So that's why, so this 1s1 will come and occupy this one, that becomes pair, and one more hydrogen, because two hydrogen will be there. So that's why one more electron which occupy this position, that becomes the pair here. So therefore, the lone pairs from the p orbitals of the oxygen, which is going to be overlap with the 1s1 orbitals of the hydrogen atoms. So what happens? So these two hydrogen atoms that gives the electron towards this orbital and this orbital. This is called py, this is called pz orbitals. So now they are going to become the paired electrons. After this hydrogen donates one electron, that becomes pair, and this is pair. So these are already paired here. So what happens? So now I am going to write as the oxygen, and these two hydrogen I am going to write here. So why the hydrogen is donates one electron? Because in order to complete its outermost electron, that becomes stable, and the hydrogen, when it that is called mutual forming, that takes this here. So that's why 2 dot I am going to represent here like this. Because when an electron that is mutually shared with oxygen, simultaneously oxygen also gives one electron to the hydrogen, and also hydrogen also gives the one electron to the oxygen. Then only the hydrogen becomes stable, and oxygen also becomes the stable. How? The oxygen becomes the nearest noble gas, that is called neon, and hydrogen, it is going to be occupy the stable position by the helium. So now they are going to form here. So these are called the bonding pairs of electrons. So these are called the bonding pairs of electrons, and remaining two orbitals that we are going to call as the lone pairs of the electrons on the oxygen atom here. These are called the lone pairs. So count our octet structure here: 2, 4, 6, 8. That's why oxygen is completed its octet, right? But hydrogen is not, because hydrogen is only stable with it when it mutual states with the one electron here. So this is about the structure of the water. But so this is the formation of the, here the s orbitals and the 3p orbitals are going to be utilization for the bond formation here. So that's why this name is called sp3 hybridization. sp3 hybridization, you know this one, sp3 hybridization, always like this will be there. So this is called sp3 hybridization. sp3 means tetrahedral structure. So always tetrahedral structure is having the 109.8 degree something will be there. That is called tetrahedral. That tetrahedral we are going to call as the sp3. So this is also sp3 hybridization, right? Oxygen is also having the sp3 hybridization, but instead of forming the tetrahedral, it is going to be formed as the bent structure or V-shaped structure, right? So the bond angle slightly decreases from 109.8 degree to 104.5 degree. So why this bond angle decreases from 109.8 degree to 104.5 degree? Because of the presence of the lone pairs of the electrons of the oxygen atom. That's why the bond angle decreases from 109.8 degree to 104.5 degree. So 109.8 degree structure we are going to call as a tetrahedral, and it is also having the sp3. But here also sp3, but the structure is called bent molecules. Water is always having the bent structure because of the presence of the lone pairs of the electron. So like this, the bond angle decreases here. So this is about the structure of the water. Let's discuss about the structure of the ice. So in your home, you are going to see the refrigerant, right? The ice cubes, you are going to see that one. So that is very clearness of that ice, right? So we are going to see the three-dimensional picture of the structure of the ice. So in that one, you are going to look at that the oxygen, which is going to be sp3 hybridized orbital will be, you are going to see here this oxygen atom, which is going to be surrounded by the 4 hydrogen atoms, right? So that is called hydrogen bond, you are going to see that one. So right, so this is called open cage structure of the ice. This is called open cage with a lot of empty within that molecules. So due to this lot of emptiness, the ice which is always floats on the water, and also ice density compared to the water, it is very less. Therefore, the density of the ice is always lesser than the density of the water. That's why when you throw the ice on the water, so that's why this ice floats on the water. So in order to sink, so it must contain the density, it must be higher than that of the water. So that's why due to the less density of this ice, which always floats on the water. So in the winter season, you know this one, the ice which is going to be formed in the lake, so that is going to be totally floats on the water surface. So this is called open cage structure. So this is called also example for the hydrogen bonding. So that is a tetrahedrally sp3 hybridization of the oxygen atom, which is going to be bonded with the hydrogen atoms. So that the oxygen is surrounded by the 4 hydrogen atoms. We are going to see in the 3D structure also. Let's discuss about the chemical properties of the water. So in that one we are going to study about the common thing that is called amphoteric nature. So water in the reactions, that is going to be explained as the amphoteric. Amphoteric means, let's take simple reactions to understand what do you mean by this amphoteric nature. So now I am going to take an HCl. You know this HCl? HCl is an acid compound. So now I am going to treat this acid with the water molecules. What is the formation here? We are going to see that. It's a very easy one. That is called hydronium ion plus Cl minus, which is going to be formed here. So this is called acid, right? So HCl is an acid and water is an base here. So this is called now hydronium ion, and Cl minus is going to be formed here. And next one more reaction I am going to take here. So that is called I am going to take the ammonia and water here. So here ammonia is called base always. Ammonia is base. So here it is base. Now this water becomes obviously acid. So now what is the formation here? So that becomes NH4 plus OH minus. So what you are going to understand here? So that is nothing but the water in reaction, in first reaction, that is going to be act as a base. In another reaction, that is going to be act as a acid. So that is called the water. It is going to be show the property of the acid as well as the base in some reactions, that we are going to call as the amphoteric nature. That's why water is always exists in the form of the amphoteric in nature. So this is acid base. So now this is called acid, and now this is called base here, and similarly this is called base here, and this is called acid here, like this. So this is about the amphoteric nature. And second properties of the water that we are going to call as the auto ionization. Auto ionization. Auto ionization means, this term you are also called as the self ionization. Self ionization means I am going to take the water as the reactant, and also I am going to take the one more water reactant, that is called hydronium ion plus hydroxide ion. So water is going to be reacted to only its water. Water is going to react with water. That is called self. Because water is going to be reacted with the water only, that is called hydronium ion, and hydroxide ion is going to form. So this type of reaction we are going to call as the auto ionization of the water. So let's discuss about the third properties of the water, that is called redox reactions. Redox reactions involving water. Redox reactions involving water. So you know this one, reducer term we are going to call here, oxidizer also you are going to use in the redox reactions. So here I am going to take water. So this water I am going to treat with the highly electropositive metal, that is called sodium metal. So here this water gets reduced to hydrogen, that is also called as the dihydrogen. So now I am going to balance in this equation. So like this. So here how the redox reaction takes place water. So let's see here it is going to be reduced. Water is going to be reduced to form the hydrogen gas or dihydrogen gas, right? So this is also one type of reaction. And another type of reaction, so this water molecules which is going to be treated with the fluorine, that is called fluorine atoms. What happens here? So now here in this case, this water molecules gets oxidized. Oxidized means O2 is going to be formed here along with 4HF. So simultaneously water is in the reaction, it is going to be act as a reduced, and here this is also formed as the oxidized. So that type of reactions we are going to call as the redox reactions. So let's study about the fourth properties of the water, that is called hydrolysis reaction. That is called hydrolysis reaction. How the hydrolysis procedure takes place here. So you know this one, water is an universal solvent. So why they are going to call it universal solvent? Because it has the capacity to dissolve all the compounds, right? So that's why it is also having the high dielectric constant, or also water is called the good dehydrating agent, good hydrating agency also. So that's why it has the capacity to dissolve some compounds. So I am going to take an example. P4O10 plus 6 times of the water molecules. So that is called the phosphoric acid S3PO4. Right? S3PO4 is going to be formed here. So first balancing here. So P4 and 10 oxygen plus 6 oxygen. Total 16 oxygen. So 4 4 is 10 oxygen, and hydrogen. So 6 is 12, 4 is 12 hydrogen. Like this. So in this case, so this compound which is going to be dissolving in the water molecules to form this compound. So that is what that indicates that the hydrolysis reaction. So due to the universal solvent nature, due to the high dielectric constant, strong hydrating agent, so it is going to dissolve this compound. That's why this type of reaction we are going to call as a hydrolysis reaction.